finally got to start watching a show that everyone is kind of a ways into, but I finally got to watch The Boys. I watched the first season. So I feel like it might be kind of fun for me just to give my. I mean, you're way past it. You're right. You're caught up on season three.
Yeah, and I finished season 3. Yeah, every season, man, just ups itself. So just kind of take that into consideration as you go through it. Like, for as crazy as you thought the first season was, it only gets worse. Oh, and that scene that you just played there, I'm going back to your screen really quick. Go back up real quick.
Same.
Like, I did not know what to expect when this show first hit. That scene right there, like,
It's so
broke
cool.
me. Like, oh man,
I
man.
guess out of the game, just so you guys know, there will be spoilers here. I'm just gonna talk about my favorite stuff that I saw out of the season. I'll be super brief, actually. I thought I would take a while, but now that I'm thinking about it, everyone's already seen the first seasons. Well, most people, but yeah, I mean, overall, I agree with you, man. From like the very get go of season one, episode one, minute one, they freaking like that whole thing that happens with what's his name, Huey, I think his
Hmm.
name is Huey and his girlfriend. Man, that is just it's I was talking to a buddy while we were playing golf the other day, but like this show finds a way to be one of the most grotesque and ridiculous shows, which is kind of crazy just thinking that it's a superhero show. I don't know
Yeah,
why that's
it's weird because it has this very odd tone. Like, you can't tell if it is being gory for the sake of being gory, if it's being serious, if it's being funny gory, if it's being like horrific, tragic gory. Like, that scene right there hit on every emotion and heartstring I had. Like, I was grossed out. I was, depressed because I saw this guy's, chick get destroyed in front of him. It was funny because A Train's just like, sorry, bye."
my bad, dude.
So, like, and the whole show is like that. Like, it's a roller coaster ride of emotions as you go up. Like, you're laughing 1 minute and crying and grossed out the entire time.
Dude, I'll just go straight in, man. The airplane scene is one of the most horrific and like I mean, and it's horrific because, and you don't even get to see the aftermath of what
It's
happens.
just so
Like,
messed up.
it's just horrific just thinking about that situation. And, like, it's just thinking about putting yourself in that situation. It's really totally crazy how they're able to flip the whole story of what a superhero is, man. And it's not just Homelander. It's like every hero is like a damn it. They do their
They're
best to
all
make
people.
they're all people. They're realistic. Some well, not some of them are exaggeration of people, but like for the most part, each of them have their own problems. They're not all same. They're not. They don't all have the same issues. Like Homelander is, he's his own issue.
Hmm.
He's his own issue. But like you have like sex fiends. You have just narcissists, and you have
It's
people that have
honestly
egos.
what would real life would be like if you had powers. Like, here's the thing. You
Drug
get
addict.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up with superpowers. Odds are you're not all of a sudden going to turn around and be Superman, even if you had all of his powers. Like, most people are not that morally good, that would hold those principles and those values, and that's going to be true for just about every traditional superhero that exists. Like, this takes archetypes of real people, how they would use superpowers in their real world, usually for self gain. You got them using it for fame and publicity and drugs, and for narcissistic reasons. Few of them
Mhm.
use them for any kind of altruistic purposes. So, man, that's the whole core of the show, is that being a superhero does not make you better than anyone. In many cases, it makes you worse because you have this power that you're going to abuse for your own self gain. But
Yeah, and like you were saying, like it's really interesting how the show really kind of ties in and just like it has all of these aspects of real life that revolve around the idea of what if they were heroes.
mhm.
Like it has like corporatization of things, it has religion, it has like how like the police and the government would operate
Yeah, it's
around
about the world
things.
with superheroes in it. Like, I can't remember all the details of season 1 because it's been a while, but there's not like the superheroes are fighting some supervillain. That's not the point of the show
So
or the season. Like, and usually they're not even doing like superhero work. They are just, you know, being d bags all the time
Yeah,
with
pretty much.
superpowers. So
Oh my gosh, the opening scene where what's her name?
Starlight.
Starlight, when she first joins the Seven and she is locked in that room with the
It's
Deep and
terrible. It's terrible.
and
This show
she's
is
telling
terrible. Terrible, by the way. Like,
it's
it's hard to recommend for those who have like weak stomachs or even just don't like seeing very uncomfortable scenes. Like this show puts you in situations that are extremely uncomfortable and
I was
ugh.
talking about this show talking with my dad's buddy while my dad was there and I was just talking about how much I enjoyed the show and the one thing I didn't bring up with my dad, I just didn't want him to off-site hear it, but I'm just like I didn't bring up the whole like religious stuff. Like this show, like it, it doesn't hold its punches. It definitely seems like they try to get like I don't think they hit you over the head with the religion aspect, but they definitely are not afraid to like touch on it. And I don't know, again, like you were saying about the uncomfortableness. Like if you know, that's something to think about when at least watching the first season. I don't know if that plays a part with
Oh, it
future
gets
seasons.
worse. Everything gets worse. I mean, it gets different worse, but it gets worse. I can't even begin to explain some of the things that happen in 2 and 3. So,
If you have mommy issues, Homelander.
oh, it gets worse. Everything gets
Oh my
worse.
god.
And that's the thing about this show. Like for every point that you have, just be aware everything's going to be elevated. Some things exponentially each season. Like you can't think of a way how they're going to top themselves. They find a way every time. So, ooh, man.
Well, the interesting thing I'm noticing while looking at my notes while I was watching the show is I bring up all of these different things about how like hero worship, mega corporations. I'm looking at hero shareholder meetings, shady business practices, uh, heroes symbolizing aspects of politicians and government, and like it's so crazy how like all of that stuff you feel like at the beginning of the show is super important, and then into the season when things start going downhill, you're like, oh, so all that stuff pales in comparison because this guy is he's above all of that. Like you
Yeah,
think that stuff's gonna play a major aspect,
it
but like
all boils down to
it
Homelander.
all boils down to Homelander because I mean all of that it's just again it's interesting. You think that stuff is such a big deal, but Homelander's
And every
so powerful.
season's the same way. Like there, and without going to spoilers, there's very little that they ever introduce that can ever be a stumbling block or a foil to Homelander. Like it's always just they're all getting ready for that pot to boil. Like, and it's odd because you keep thinking, okay, it's gonna happen, it's gonna get there, but it's just they keep edging it and edging it closer and closer to it, and you're just waiting for the massacre or whatever to happen. Um, but I mean,
But
that's the
that is
tension of the show. Like he is the
Homelander,
show. Like that whole struggle and
really.
tension. Yeah, like they introduce other things around that kind of build out other characters and the relationships and background for like how kind of where they got.
But I'm
But
hoping there's more though. Like if that continues to
there
be
is, but there isn't.
mm,
I don't let that turn you off because there's enough there that will still intrigue you to go through it. And the character of Homelander does change and evolve too over it, but it's still like he is still the issue, the foil they're trying to figure out.
because like I've said before, when it comes to other IPs and stuff, the thing I like is I like things ending. And I think I like things ending well. Like I don't just want something to just
Mm.
continue on and on and on. Like I want there to be some resolution, some wrap up with Homelander, with everything about him. Like does it seem like I mean, I don't know how many seasons they've said that the show is supposed to go on
Well,
for,
here's
but
the thing. To my knowledge, this is based on a comic. I don't know how far the
oh,
comic is.
I forgot about
So I don't know if they're trying to, keep in line with the comic. I've not read any of those, so I don't know how closely the show represents the comic or any of that kind of stuff. I agree, though. I mean, at some point, you want, this thing to tie on, not just drone on forever and ever. But it's got another season left in it, I'd say, like a good, valid story, telling that could take place.
but
Beyond
does it
that,
feel like, oh
hmm?
no, I was just saying, but does it feel like if there's another season that does the same thing? Does it feel like you're gonna get to a point where you're like, I need to see?
Maybe. I don't know. I didn't feel a whole lot of that this time. To be fair, though, like I feel like there was a big gap between the timing of season 2 and season 3. I'm not sure if that was a COVID thing or what it was. So I didn't feel burnt out between it. Like I watched season 1, season 2 came out in a reasonable time frame, which that I thought was a good, stepping up point from season 1. And there was a big gap between season 3. So I didn't feel the burnout. You'll probably feel more of it just because you're, binge watching the whole thing back to back to back. So you might notice the chinks in that a little more than I did. To me, it flowed fine. I agree that, after another season of this, it would have to advance to some, different narrative level as far as what they're doing with Homelander and stuff like that. But there's still some room right now. I don't know how long they can stretch that out for.
It's interesting. I guess just a couple other things I wanted to mention is the acting in the show is great. I mean, Carl Urban's fantastic. What's his name? Quaid. What's his first? Oh, what's his name? Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid's great. Dennis Quaid's son. Carl Urban. Did I mention Carl Urban? I think I did. Anthony Starr's great. And he's like a new actor. I'd never heard of this guy until they brought him on for Homelander.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? There's somebody. Oh, Simon Pegg for some reason is Huey's dad, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it's got a really great cast. Anything else? I guess I wanted to mention. I have the cancer patient scene was pretty funny. The cancer patient wanted to see the one superhero, but because he was kidnapped, A-Train shows up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "But I wanted to see this hero. I'm about to die." And A-Train's like, "Okay, but you got me." I don't. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, I guess that's just it. I mean, I really enjoyed the first season. I was waiting to start season 2 until we talk about it. So, I guess freaking Vicious from Cowboy Bebop plays Translucent, which I thought was funny.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? I didn't catch that. He didn't have that beautiful white hair, so.
I was like actually kind of happy to see him in something good because the only time I saw him was in Cowboy Bebop. So I'm like, okay, so. At least he's good here. I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed season 1. So you said you definitely recommend season 2 and 3, of course.
Yeah. And I'd just go ahead and just watch them back to back. I mean, if you want to, watch season 2 and then talk about it, we could. But I'd just say knock them out. They're not super long seasons, and then you just kind of talk about it as a big package. Because it'd be hard for me, I think, to go back through and kind of dissect season 2, knowing what I've seen in season 3. So.
I'm kind of curious to see what the whole villain thing, because I know like Homelander spread out like that chemical across the world and created supervillains. So I'm very curious to see what comes of that. And and then I forgot to mention the whole Butcher and I keep calling their names Butcher and Homelander. Like it ends on like a crazy cliffhanger of them finding Butcher's wife and son, and it's just like. I don't want to know where I don't even want to know where that's going to go. Like, that could go anywhere.
Goes places, man. Goes places.
The whole scene of him staring into his mom girlfriend's eyes. That was scary. Alright, guys. So that was The Boys. So yeah, definitely. Hopefully by next week, I'll be able to talk about season 2. We'll definitely put that on the list.